Hello and welcome to the final cut. Now, this is the first episode in a series that I plan on doing from here on out, and it is called Triple Threat Theater. And basically, where I take three films in a franchise and I take them head to head as opposed to which is the superior of the three. Now, I decided to start with something relatively simple, and I'm going to be looking at the best first entries in three major horror franchises, that being Halloween 1978, Friday the 13th 1980, and Nightmare on Elm Street 1984. Now, which of the three of these is the superior film? Now, I'm going to rank these and basically give the bronze, the silver, and the gold medal to. So we will start off just by kind of breaking each film down just a little bit here. Now, we're going to start off with the first that came onto this scene, which is Halloween 1978, John Carpenter's horror slasher classic about a man in a white mask stalking some babysitters. Now, of course, this film branched out into becoming something far more bigger with now the release of Halloween Kills, which is the 12th entry in the franchise. Of course, it was originally going to be titled The Babysitter Murders, but of course it became Halloween and thus just helped ensure its future banking opportunities. That is mostly for sure. Now, with this film, there's so much to really appreciate about this film, and of course, anything and everything has already been said. It just has the atmosphere, it has the vibe, it's such a simplicity, but the simplicity is truly what makes a film like this very, very special. And it's just all the right elements being in place, that being those involved, just the style that they're going for, the concept, the mask, which was essentially a happy accident, knowing that just before they started shooting, they created this mask, and sure enough, it became one of the most iconic images of all time. That, along with John Carpenter's score as well as directing, as I said, I mean, just the score itself. This film probably wouldn't even be half of what it is unless you actually had the score, because the score itself gives such an identity to a film, and especially something like this where you're really just banking on atmosphere and mood. It just does it in spades. And so with that said, we'll just go on and move to the next one, which is 1980's Friday the 13th. This came out 2 years after Halloween, and as we all know now, that this was very much a copy of that. So without Halloween, this wouldn't exist. So this film already kind of has that going against it in a way, because, well, I mean, you can't really have one without the other. But for what this film gives us, it really is its own thing, especially once the franchise has kind of gone on and evolved, and you really kind of saw the development of what this franchise, the potential that it actually had. In this first film, it really does. It's more of a roller coaster as opposed to the first Halloween, I would say. It really is just kind of, you're just kind of going in, and you're just in the moment, like with these kids just hanging out in the woods until just all hell starts to break loose, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? The music itself, by comparison, John Carpenter's score, it's not as intricate, but it definitely has its own taste to it that really allows it to form its own identity. And of course, it has a lot of that POV factor as well to the film, and it's just a fun movie just all the way through. And so, yeah, we'll get into where these get ranked, but of course now we have to move on to the later entry, 1984's Nightmare on Elm Street, done by Wes Craven. Again, a sort of lightning in a bottle scenario where you just had all the right elements in place, a lot of just that magical creativity that Wes Craven tends to bring to a lot of his work, as well as just having the right people wanting to make this film, wanting to distribute it, and just, again, just the right elements being in place to truly make this film unique. And it is easily the most unique of the three. Does that make it the most? Does that make it the best? We'll just have to wait and see. But it is most certainly the most unique, especially just in general. Like even now, just the concept alone, just a character like Freddy Krueger who comes after you in your dreams, knowing that eventually you have to sleep, and just knowing that there's so many possibilities that could happen because it's a dream. Literally, he can do anything. You can literally get anything out of a kill for this film, and it truly sets its own tone like Halloween did initially. And because you just never know, because you just have a character just kind of wandering about, and then next thing you know, you start seeing this thing and that thing that just strikes you as odd, and next thing you know, you're in a dream, and then that's when you realize, oh crap. And then the way that they execute the whole presence of Freddy, having him be in the shadows the whole time, for the most part. I mean, this one definitely does it more than the other later entries. That is most certain. But just the sense vibe that you get from this character is just absolutely phenomenal. And the music itself, again, is just because not only do you have like the main theme that's present throughout the film, but you also just have that little song that the girls jump roping in when they're singing "One, two, Freddy's coming for you." That in and of itself is truly a creepy thing, and that really helps to add to the atmosphere of what this film is going for. Now, with those brief breakdowns of each film, which one is the best and which one is the weakest? Now, I'm going to go ahead and just do what I feel like is relatively obvious, or at least like just in my opinion, as to which one gets the bronze medal for this one, and that is, it's got to be Friday the 13th. I mean, as I said, if not for Halloween, this film wouldn't exist. And to be perfectly honest, it doesn't have the intricacies of the original Halloween. The original Halloween was done, of course, on a very small budget. You could pick out certain flaws here and there, but for the most part, what it gives you, what was done, what they were able to create was just such simplicity with the music, the lighting, all that stuff. It doesn't. It's not quite present in Friday the 13th. It very much is a knockoff of that. And again, if not for that, it wouldn't exist. But I feel like Friday the 13th really didn't find its own identity until future films. And this was just kind of like the first step into that. But I will give it the credit where it is due. I mean, if most knockoff films obviously just tend to fall by the wayside, you may have one or two that may be comparable to some extent and that may actually work. This film had a lot going against it in that way, but it's a diamond in the rough. It one that happened to find its own way and to become its own thing, which I have to give all the credit in the world for, because I mean, hey, I mean, it easily could have just been a one and done, just been like, oh well, you know, that knockoff is like, that was fun, that was whatever. But then to watch it evolve and to become its own thing like that, I think it's actually truly something special, and really it should be applauded. And now that we're done with the lawsuit, now it's really just down to Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller just kind of coming to an agreement. We'll just have to wait and see what the future actually holds for this franchise. But it has to get the bronze because, well, I don't believe it's the strongest one, where the original tends to be. Maybe there could be a sequel here and there in certain franchises that may actually exceed that, but in this case I do not feel that the original is the strongest. So with that said, we'll move on to number 2, the silver medal. Now this, I feel like this one is easily more of just subjective, of course, as to which one is actually better, and maybe on certain days I could feel differently about that. But on a day like this, I feel like I have to give the silver to A Nightmare on Elm Street. And again, this is, I mean, second place in going into a contest like this is really not bad at all, because it's obviously a classic and it's just as special as the original Halloween is. It's just its own thing. And again, with this film, with what Wes Craven was able to bring, and knowing the magical casting that was Robert Englund in this role, it's just absolutely extraordinary, and it's still a film that holds up, I feel, very well to this day, especially when you compare it to the remake, where a lot of people would say, be like, they try to recreate moments with CGI, and obviously it just does not. It doesn't work the same way. Even moments where his arms are stretched out and reaching out towards the wall and scratching the wall, it looks dated, but it's the kind of unnatural kind of jankiness, if you will, of the arms and the way they look that actually makes it feel more uneasy. But other shots like the tilting room and to be able to feel like to have her up on the ceiling, that's basically what Christopher Nolan did down the line in Inception. So back in 1984, Wes Craven and his team, they did that then, and that is truly something impressive. And so, yeah, as far as like the pure creepiness factor, this is one of the very few in the franchise that truly has that. But it really is an extraordinary film. But at the end of the day, I just kind of have to put it in second place when we're comparing these initial films. Now, obviously, process of elimination, we're only doing three here. So who gets the gold medal? That is, of course, 1978's Halloween. Now, the reason I have to put it at the top one here is because, again, it's that much more simple than what Elm Street is, of course, but it has a good, just solid execution in pretty much all aspects, as far as just the look, the feel, the tone. Just knowing Michael Myers is, knowing he's very much a character. He very much has character, but very much doesn't, because what we recognize the franchise to be is Michael Myers, but in the idea of what he was meant to be, knowing he was nothing more than a blank slate, he's not really meant to have motivation. He has like next to no character at all, but he has all the character in the world just based off of his presence, and that's what makes it such a unique thing. And again, along with John Carpenter's score, that theme is easily like my top one or two themes in the horror genre overall, and really just probably in general. It's just such a solid theme. It hits in such a way, and when you get down to that ending and what it was meant to be, it truly is something special. And also, I have to give credit to Donald Pleasance, who was the other half of this, and we can give all the credit to Jamie Lee Curtis as well, as being the survivor, the one that we kind of see the film through the eyes of for the most part. But he is the one actor that kind of grounds the film. It really adds that necessary like believability to Michael Myers, and also helps you feel most engaged with the idea, and that's what makes you feel like just obviously more invested and feeling that sense of creepiness, like that vibe off of Michael Myers once you actually see him on screen. And Nick Castle's performance, it's just such subtle things that really makes it something more, but with so little in a way. And that's another thing I have to give credit to the other previous two films, is that each film I feel like has a certain actor that helps grounds it. With Nightmare on Elm Street, I would say it's Saxton in that role as the father. He helps add that gravity to it. And with Pamela Voorhees in the original Friday the 13th, I feel like, obviously she's only at the very tail end, but once she gets in there, she helps legitimize the film. But with this one, obviously you get more sense presence with Donald Pleasance, and he just absolutely nails it. If he wasn't in this film, I don't know what the film would be quite what it is. But that's just the thing. You have like the trifecta. You have Donald Pleasance, you have the score, and you just have Michael Myers and just the cinematography that goes along with that. So it's just all those elements in place that makes the film special. And you can say that just about for a lot of films, that unless you have all the elements in place and executed the right way, then the film can never truly work. But when you go back and look at something like this, especially knowing certain things were just done on a whim, like The Mask, you have to just appreciate that. And it's fun to go back and just realize that if that tiny little thing hadn't worked out, if they did not find that mask, if they had just done this a little bit differently, then the film just would not quite have that impact. and then just seeing it all come together is truly something special. So for me, Halloween is at the top of the food chain when it comes to these three initial franchise films. So the bronze, Friday the 13th, the silver goes to Nightmare on Elm Street, and the gold goes to Halloween 1978. So that will do it for this video. I definitely plan on doing more of these triple threat theater, where again just taking three films, and I probably will be going down the list as to, you know, however franchise has X amount of films, kind of take all those head to head, which is the best second entry or third entry, as well as some other, you know, just kind of like maybe off the cuff ideas, like ones that I feel like are comparable and that can actually be, you know, a good like little competition to go along with. But that'll do it for this video. I don't want to keep you for too long. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated, and hopefully we can do something more of this and help evolve the videos and really just kind of just have some fun, as well as other content to come. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.